For years, my ranch radio network had been the one thing I could always depend on. Then one morning, every radio on the property went completely silent. I called the north pasture. Nothing. I called the barn crew, the cattle team, and the main house. Absolute silence. Within minutes, my workers started texting me from different parts of the ranch. Every single radio channel had gone dead at the same time. That didn't feel like an ordinary equipment failure. All the radios depended on one relay system located at the highest point of my land. So I climbed into my truck and headed straight for the tower. I expected to find a damaged cable or maybe a lightning strike. But when I reached the tower, I immediately knew something was wrong. Equipment that had never belonged on my ranch was now surrounding my cabinet. Someone had stuffed my radio cabinet with a mountain of extra electronics, and the overloaded mess had buried equipment that kept my ranch connected. I didn't start pulling wires. Instead, I took photos of everything exactly the way I found it. The more pictures I took, the stranger it became. This was random junk. It looked like part of a large security network. Then I noticed something that made the whole situation click. The cables were running in the direction of the HOA development next door. Years earlier, a luxury HOA development had been built right beside my ranch. They had always complained that my land was outside their standards. Their board had repeatedly asked me to let them use my tower. I had said no every single time. I told them the tower served an active working ranch. It wasn't community infrastructure, and it definitely wasn't theirs to expand. Back at my office, I started checking every maintenance record I had. No contractor had been authorized to add equipment to that cabinet. Then I found the detail that changed everything. The cabinet had been opened during a period when I was away on business. I called a licensed communications technician to inspect the system. His first reaction told me this was much worse than a simple radio outage. He confirmed that extra equipment had been installed inside the cabinet. The added load and tangled connections had interfered with my ranch radio system. We traced the unfamiliar network connections. They led directly toward security infrastructure serving the HOA neighborhood. The HOA had recently expanded its surveillance and gate security system. Apparently, someone decided my tower cabinet was a perfect place to help run it. When I confronted the HOA representative, she acted like I was the problem. She claimed the equipment was helping protect the entire community. I showed her the ownership documents. The tower, cabinet, land, and radio system had belonged exclusively to my ranch for decades. After documenting everything, I had the unauthorized equipment professionally disconnected. The original ranch system was carefully restored to its proper configuration. A few minutes later, the first voice finally came through the radio. Then another, and suddenly my entire ranch network was alive again. The ranch was running normally again. But the HOA still had one very important question to answer. I submitted the photographs, inspection report, and property records through the proper channels. I wanted an official record of exactly what had happened. The HOA board was forced to review the installation. Suddenly, the security upgrade didn't look like such a clever shortcut. The HOA had to move its equipment onto infrastructure it actually controlled. My ranch tower was no longer part of their plans. I wasn't interested in revenge. I just wanted the HOA to understand that private ranch infrastructure isn't theirs to borrow. By the end of the day, my radios were working, my ranch was connected, and my property was secure again. Sometimes the simplest boundary is the one people refuse to respect until they face the consequences. The HOA learned that my tower wasn't part of their neighborhood security system. It was part of my ranch. And from that day forward, everyone knew exactly where the boundaries stood. Like, subscribe and tell us where you're watching from.